Hey everybody, how are you? It's Dr. Cruz from Design Your Destiny with Dr. Cruz. So I made a video earlier tonight that I'll probably post, I don't know, tomorrow. I don't know if you'll see this video before that video. But anyway, it was about making goals for 2019 and really what work needs to come before we make goals, right? Especially for the new year. So I was saying in the video that, very successful people, and in a perfect world, we should already have our goals made out, right, for 2019. We should have done them in 2018, right? And so I wanted to elaborate a little bit on the topic that I did earlier today, because I was kind of in a rush going to class where I'm learning to, I'm getting certified as a handwriting analyst. So I wanted to make sure I got to class on time, so I couldn't go as in depth into the video as I wanted to. So 2019 goals and why they're important, and why it's important, in the future, make your goals ahead of time. Okay, so 2019 goals really should have been done in 2018. But we don't know that if no one ever tells us, right? And we don't know that if we don't study personal growth and development and we don't learn from somebody, right? Typically, learning to prepare ahead of time is something that you are taught either in business, in the military, entrepreneurship, things like that. Teachers and education, you got to prepare ahead of time. And so the people who don't prepare ahead of time typically are not in those categories, right? So it's important that we take the initiative and learn from podcasters and learn from reading books of people who are really living and executing and learning and studying and living, did I say living? On a higher level, right? When I say higher level, I mean like a more thought out, pre-planned, focused, intentional level. A level in life where they probably had their parents mold them, set them on a path in life, and sometimes not. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that didn't have their parents put them on that path, but something in their environment encouraged them, awakened them, inspired them, sparked an idea that they should become an entrepreneur. And so if you haven't created your 2019 goals yet, it's not too late, right? It's never too late. Anything in life, as long as you're breathing, it's never too late, right? So I'm the author of a few books, and one of them is Maximize Your Superpowers. And so you want to think about, as you're writing your 2019 goals, you want to think about some things in your life that can correlate to your superpowers. And so if you haven't read the book yet, then you don't really maybe know the context of what I'm talking about. But superpowers can be defined in many ways, right? And so one of the ways that you can define superpowers is really what is your natural talent and ability, And when you can identify what your natural talent and ability, you know, what are you naturally drawn to? And when you can connect your natural ability to what your spirit's being called to do in life, right? So that becomes a superpower. Because you're taking something ordinary, it's your natural ordinary ability, and you're combining it with a secondary element. In this case, your intention, right? And so those two things together exponentially advance you and take you to a place in life that you just focusing on your natural ability could not take you, right? So if you focus on your natural ability by itself, it's only going to take you so far in life because you're not creatively thinking in the most exponential way. But when you think about your natural talent or ability and you think about what your spirit is calling you to do in life, and you learn how to combine your natural talent and combine that calling, that direction, that spiritual inclination, that energetic frequency, it will exponentially catapult you in a direction, to a place, to people. Things in life will happen differently when you connect them together. Your superpower. As opposed to you taking one of them and focusing on it by itself. For instance, some people might feel like, you know, my calling is to feed homeless people, for instance, right? You can become really very frustrated. Like, I feel like I should be doing this thing in my life, you know? I should be doing X, Y, and Z. I should be feeding homeless people. But if you don't have creative ideas and you're not connecting this thought to this thought, then you're dealing in singularity, right? You're dealing in mono thought. You're thinking about what you're being called to do, but you don't have a vehicle to do it. Your vehicle is your talent, right? And when you connect a talent to a calling, something very magical happens, right? You begin to explode with possibility. Possibility that probably would not be available to you if you just focused on your calling. My calling, for instance, or someone's calling could be, I want to feed homeless people. That's a very singular mono thought. What are you going to do with that? Not much, right? When you start connecting it to something else, the two of those together, it's like 1 + 1 now equals 5. Right? You put one thought and another thought, or one ability and a calling together, and it explodes with possibilities. Because you're working on a different frequency in life. You're not just working from your conscious mind or your spiritual inclination, right? You're not just working from one of your powers. Your mind is a power. Your spirit is a power. When you connect your mind and your spirit together, you come up with things that you could not come up with if you just work with one. Okay? So I don't want to belabor the point, but I do want to encourage you all to really think about, my 2019 goals. Let me not be simple-minded about it. Let me not take it for granted. Let me not handle it casually. Your 2019 goals are not a casual thing that you just write down on paper. Your 2019 goals are the ingredients to this magnificent meal called your future that you're creating, right? If you think about a meal that you're making in the kitchen, you have different ingredients, right? You need the milk, you need the eggs, you need the this, and you need the that. That's your 2019 goals. I need to make a certain amount of money. I need to live to a certain physical fitness expectation. I need to do X, Y, and Z spiritually. I need to do X, Y, and Z for my social support system. I need to do X, Y, and Z for my career, whatever it might be, right? And so all of those ingredients together come together nicely over time to create your future. So your 2019 goals, I cannot express this enough. Your 2019 goals are as equally important to your future as oxygen is to your current state of being. Okay? Your 2019 goals are equally as important to your future as oxygen is to your current state of being. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your 2019 goals are the stepping stones to your future. Create the future that you want to create. Don't take life for granted. I wish somebody would have taught me this in my 20s. You have got to understand that every single thing that you're doing in your life every single day is creating this thing called your future. Your future doesn't just happen. You create your future. You create it based on what you do, based on how you think, based on your daily activities. You create your tomorrows. If you do nothing different tomorrow than you did today, then you will have a future that looks like now. Okay? So if you want a future that looks different, that feels different, if you want to be happier, more joyful, more fulfilled, then you got to do something different. There's a saying that for things to change, you must change. And how do you change? How do you change? You change by changing the way you think. And you change by changing your behaviors, your activities, what time you go to bed at night, what time you wake up in the morning, what do you do after you wake up? Do you rush off to work in a scurry, half lit? I used to do that. I was always late for work. I was always late for work. Always late for. I may not have been late to work, but I was always running late to work because I never planned properly, right? So one of your goals for 2019 could be, I want to go to bed at a particular time consistently every night of the week. And then give yourself, your weekends off or whatever. Your goals could be, I want to leave the house 15 more minutes early, or 15 minutes earlier than I typically leave, so that I don't freaking cause myself a heart attack, because I'm always in anxiety, running, rushing. Okay? Maybe your goal is not to rush anymore. That could be a goal. I don't want to rush anymore. I'm tired of rushing. I want to be able to live my life, peacefully. I don't want to scarf down my breakfast every morning. Okay? So, that's about it. That's all I'm going to talk about tonight. But 2019 goals, man, they're your vitamins. They're your power pills for the future. If you don't create goals, then you're living life haphazardly. Don't live your life haphazardly. You got to understand how valuable your life is. Your life is valuable. You are as valuable as any currency on this earth. You are as valuable as any beautiful architecture, the Taj Mahal. You're as valuable. You're more valuable. So if they took time and created a blueprint for the Taj Mahal probably took years to build. Any grand piece of architecture, real estate, beautiful painting, not average, but unique, takes time to think it through, to visualize it, to think, what is it I'm creating? Let me create a blueprint. You and your life, your future, are equally as important, if not more. Surely more. Absolutely more important. Aren't you more important than a painting or the Taj Mahal or the Empire State Building? Some fantastic thing that they had to build over time? Isn't your future more important than a building? So if they took the time to create the blueprint, to visualize what it was they're creating, to hire specialists to build these things, aren't you equally and more important than that? Your future? Don't you have something to contribute to this beautiful world that so desperately needs you to contribute to it? Because there are people out here that are not very beautiful, and they're either trying to destroy the world, or they're just destroying it because they're not thinking. They're living from misery and pain and trauma. You can really contribute to this world. You can contribute to your future. You can contribute to your children and your grandchildren's future if you just think. What can I create? Think. What can I create? Turn it on. Turn your brain on and think. Think. Get in tune. So there's a time to think, and then there's a time to shut it off and focus and hear. And if you can take what's talking to you in here and connect it to this, you got a superpower. All right? So I'm Dr. Cruz with Design Your Destiny with Dr. Cruz. And if you haven't gotten Maximize Your Superpowers, I really highly recommend that you do. because it's fantastic. You know, if you never open your mind to the possibilities of what you have internally and what you can do with what you have as a natural ability, mind, body, spirit, and connect it to other things in the world, you're cheating yourself. You're not even fully living yet. Okay? All right. I will speak with you soon. Bye.